Welcome, Naruto fans, to our new and exciting series that answers the thrilling question, what if? What if Sasuke, our beloved and complex anti-hero, was reborn in the past with all of his memories intact? We dive into an alternate universe, revisiting a world we thought we knew through the eyes of a baby, yet carrying the wisdom and experiences of a hardened shinobi. Watch as Sasuke grapples with the ghosts of his past, battles the confusion of his present, and shapes the future with his own hands. Join us in this thrilling journey as we unveil Chapter 1, Resurgence of Shadows. A tale of redemption, revenge, and rebirth. In the aftermath of the Fourth Great Ninja War, the battlefield lay desolate. The struggle against Kaguya had left the landscape scarred and broken. Amidst this destruction, two figures, Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha, stood in opposition. They were battered, bruised, and desperately clinging onto their last shreds of energy. "Sasuke, this has to stop," Naruto uttered, his voice echoing through the shattered surroundings. He looked at Sasuke, hoping to see a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I know, Naruto," Sasuke replied, his voice carrying a chilling determination. And so, it ends. Their final confrontation was explosive. Naruto charged forward, a Rasengan forming in his hand. Sasuke reciprocated with his Chidori, raw electricity crackling around his palm. When their attacks collided, a wave of energy rippled through the battlefield. In the aftermath of their clash, Naruto and Sasuke found themselves impaled on each other's attacks. They had succeeded in their fatal aim, they had killed each other. In their last moments, their gaze met, each grappling with the reality of their mutual end. "Naruto, were we friends?" Sasuke asked, his voice faint. "Did our friendship matter?" "Yes, Sasuke, it mattered," Naruto replied, his voice a mere whisper his last words. "And it always will." Then, everything faded into darkness. Awakening as a newborn, Sasuke was disoriented. His last memory was dying alongside Naruto, and now he found himself swaddled in the arms of Mikoto, his mother, while his father, Fugaku, looked on. This sudden plunge back into the past was disorienting. This new reality felt like a twisted dream, his past life's memories clashing with the present. The knowledge of his past mistakes, failures, and the final battle against Naruto weighed heavily on his infantile mind. Yet, this was his chance to change things, to steer the world towards a different path. Sasuke was aware that his journey was not going to be easy. It would be filled with darkness, fraught with hard choices that could send chills down even the bravest of souls. But the echo of Naruto's voice in his mind was a beacon of hope amidst this storm of confusion and uncertainty. In this second chance at life, Sasuke had no concrete plans, only a vague sense of determination to do better. His path was unclear, but he knew he had to change things. To end the cycle of hatred. To prevent the world from plunging into the chaos he had known. This was his journey to redemption, a second chance to right the wrongs of his past. The road ahead was uncertain, shrouded in darkness and fraught with challenges. But Sasuke was prepared. This was the purpose of his rebirth. As days turned into weeks, Sasuke's initial disorientation gradually gave way to a grim understanding of his circumstances. He was living the paradox of having the mind of a 17-year-old trapped in the frail body of a newborn. Time, which had always been a foe, had now turned into an unexpected ally, gifting him the hours he needed to contemplate and plan his future course of action. His parents were an overwhelming sight. Mikoto and Fugaku, who he had watched die in his past life, were now alive, their every move eliciting a whirlpool of emotions within Sasuke. Every smile from Mikoto tugged at his heart, every word from Fugaku echoed in the depths of his soul. Their love was familiar, yet alien for the baby Sasuke. Their presence was a stinging reminder of what he had lost, yet it also presented a beacon of hope for the future he could now rewrite. The Hidden Leaf Village was unmistakably familiar, its buildings, the faces of his parents, and the sense of life humming through the village were all clues pointing towards his past. His sight hadn't fully developed, but his other senses were in full play, piecing together the puzzle of his existence. Naruto's voice still echoed in his mind, serving as a lighthouse amidst the turbulent sea of his thoughts. Sasuke held onto these echoes, using them as a guiding light amidst the confusing storm of his new life. He was growing each day, understanding his surroundings and gathering more information about his circumstances. His path was becoming clearer, his resolve stronger. He was Sasuke Uchiha, reborn and renewed for a purpose. A purpose he was slowly, but surely, understanding. 8 months into his new life, Sasuke found himself making significant strides, both literally and metaphorically. His tiny legs, once flailing and weak, had now strengthened enough to bear his weight. His balance was unsteady, but he was walking. An astonishing feat for an infant his age, but then again, he was no ordinary child. His vocal cords were developed, fully capable of producing intelligible words, but he chose not to use them. His stoic nature carried over from his past life, reflecting in his quiet demeanor. And besides, who would take a baby's words seriously? He observed, he learned, but he remained silent, storing away every bit of information his senses could gather. But behind the quiet, a storm was brewing. He was back in the Hidden Leaf Village, the very place that had cost him his family. The anger he had carried in his past life, the resentment towards the village, was still burning within him. The faces of the village elders, the hidden darkness that thrived in the village, it all triggered his anger. Yet, there was also a deep-seated conflict within him about Itachi. His beloved brother, who had made unimaginable sacrifices, carried unbearable burdens, all for the sake of the village and their family. He loved Itachi, but he also hated him for the choices he made. This internal conflict added another layer of complexity to his already tumultuous emotions. Sasuke's walking came as a surprise to his parents. Mikoto would coo at his staggering attempts, her eyes shimmering with pride, while Fugaku's gaze held a quiet approval. However, Sasuke remained indifferent to their praise. This was merely a stepping stone to his real objective: to grow up, to train, to make a difference. Each day, his goal of understanding this life and altering its course became clearer. The pain of his past, the love for his parents, the anger towards the village, and the conflict about Itachi, all of it was shaping his resolve, steeling him for the path ahead. At the age of 1, Sasuke's vision had fully developed, finally bringing the world around him into sharp focus. The familiar sights of the Hidden Leaf Village were confirmation of his suspicions: he was indeed back in the past. Evidence was everywhere, from the conversations he overheard to the dates on posters around town. All these elements wove a story that was impossible to deny. He was back in the time and place where his journey had begun. A burning anger seethed within him, stoked by the harsh reality of his circumstances. The Hidden Leaf Village, a place that was supposed to be a sanctuary, had cost him everything. His family, his clan, his innocence, all taken away from him in his past life. This knowledge ignited an intense rage within him. He couldn't let it happen again. He wouldn't. His emotions were a swirling vortex, filled with anger, sorrow, and an unyielding determination to change the course of his fate. He was not the innocent child his parents thought he was, but a seasoned warrior with a burdensome knowledge of the past and a desperate desire to alter the future. Plans began to formulate in his mind. He needed to stop the events that led to the downfall of his clan, to prevent the rise of Kaguya. The decision to become a Shadow Hokage solidified in his mind. He would work from behind the scenes, eliminating any threats that loomed over the village and his family. And his first target had to be Danzo, the man who had orchestrated the demise of his clan, whose actions had set Itachi on a path of self-destruction. Eliminating Danzo was the first crucial step towards altering the tragic fate of the Uchiha clan. His first year of life had brought him a startling clarity, and with it, a searing resolve. His goal was clear: he would not let history repeat itself. He was Sasuke Uchiha, a warrior in the body of a child, ready to face the world all over again. As Sasuke's first year of life drew to a close, a potent mixture of anger and resolve bubbled within him. His parents celebrated his milestones, oblivious to the turmoil within their child. Their innocent joy was a stark contrast to the storm of emotions raging within him. The scars of betrayal and loss were raw, igniting a fierce determination in him. The Hidden Leaf Village, the place he once called home, was now a symbol of a deep-seated corruption that led to unimaginable pain and tragedy. Each familiar face he recognized, each whisper of the village's past, was a testament to a rotten core that needed purging. His mind was aflame with thoughts of revenge. His anger was not a wild, unchecked force, but a laser-focused drive directing him towards his targets: Danzo, the village elders, and anyone else who was a threat to his clan and village. Even Hiruzen, a man he had once respected, would not be spared if he turned out to be a part of the problem. He was resolved to uproot the corruption in the village, to cleanse it of its sins. Yet, amidst this surge of anger and determination, there was a voice that kept him anchored. Naruto's voice echoed within him, a constant reminder of their shared dreams and unyielding bond. Sasuke found himself asking the silent echo of his friend, "Is this the right path, Naruto? What would you do?" He knew Naruto might not agree with his plans. They had always seen the world through different lenses. But this time, Sasuke was ready to walk his path, regardless of the approval or disapproval of others. He would protect his clan, his village, and rewrite their fates. His heart pounded with a steady rhythm of fury, his mind was a tactical web of strategies, and his spirit bore the resilience of a seasoned warrior. He was ready to face the demons of his past and the challenges of the future. He was Sasuke Uchiha, a child of destiny reborn with a heart ablaze with determination. His resurgence had just begun. Chapter 2: The Awakening. Now at the age of 3, Sasuke found himself standing in the familiar setting of his backyard, an arena of solitude where he could test his capabilities. His old memories, battle experience, and vast knowledge of ninjutsu were all there, tucked away in the corners of his mind. He knew how to activate the Sharingan and even the Manjikyu Sharingan. But theory and practice were two entirely different realms. It was time to cross the bridge. Eyes narrowed, he focused his chakra, calling upon the powers that had once been as natural to him as breathing. The distinct pattern of the Sharingan flared into existence, the crimson red and its unique design a striking contrast against his youthful features. He held onto it, the unfamiliar drain of chakra tugging at his senses. 1 second passed, 2, and at the third, his chakra reserves hit rock bottom. The Sharingan faded as quickly as it had appeared. So, 3 seconds. That was his current limit. His young body wasn't accustomed to the chakra consumption of the Sharingan. He needed to rest, to recover his chakra before attempting to activate it again. 1 hour later, his chakra had replenished sufficiently to give it another shot. Summoning the Sharingan once more, he could maintain it for barely a second before his chakra reserves were drained again. It was less than before, but he had also recovered faster. It was a small but significant progress, a testament to the arduous journey he had embarked upon. His current situation was a challenge, but Sasuke was no stranger to challenges. The path to becoming the Shadow Hokage was paved with countless trials. But each trial was a stepping stone, and he was prepared to conquer each one. As Sasuke navigated through the complexities of his chakra system, he came to a deeper understanding of its limitations. Chakra was composed of two distinct components, 50% physical energy derived from the body, and 50% mental energy from the mind. In Sasuke's unique situation, his mind held the maturity and strength of his future self, contributing to a powerful mental energy. However, his physical energy was hampered by the frailty and undeveloped nature of his 3-year-old body. This discrepancy created a chakra imbalance that he needed to address. He knew he could push the balance to favor mental energy over physical, altering the ratio to something like 90% mental and 10% physical. However, such a drastic shift could have catastrophic consequences for his body, which was ill-equipped to handle the strain. This realization brought to mind Rock Lee, a fellow shinobi who leveraged a similar principle through the 8 Gates technique. Lee pushed beyond his physical limitations, increasing his mental chakra output at the risk of severe bodily harm. But Sasuke was not Rock Lee. He had to consider a different path. The answer lay not in exceeding his current physical limitations, but in expanding them. He needed to allow his body to grow and develop naturally, or accelerate its development through physical training. By strengthening his physical body, he could increase its capacity to handle more chakra, thereby harmonizing the balance between his physical and mental energies. The road to recovering his full strength was longer than he would like, but Sasuke understood the importance of patience. His true potential was within his grasp, all he needed was time. With a newfound sense of determination, Sasuke set off on his quest to strengthen his physical body. He embarked on a strict training regime, pushing the boundaries of what his small body could do. Running to build stamina, push-ups to enhance strength, a multitude of exercises to foster agility and coordination. Every morning as the sun painted the sky with hues of gold, Sasuke could be found in the backyard, relentlessly training. His training sessions became an odd juxtaposition against his otherwise normal, carefree childhood, but Sasuke had a mission. The laughter and games of other children his age seemed a world away. His mind was set on a goal, 1 week of intensive training. After that, he would test his body again, see if he could channel more chakra through it without pushing into dangerous territory. Despite his mature mind and resolve, his body was still that of a toddler. Muscles ached, exhaustion took hold, and there were days when the relentless physical exertion seemed too much. Yet, each time he fell, he picked himself up, the whispering echoes of Naruto's indomitable spirit spurring him on. Sasuke knew that progress wouldn't be instantaneous. He didn't expect to wake up one day suddenly strong enough to handle the vast reserves of chakra his mind could generate. But every push-up, every sprint, every drop of sweat was a small step towards his goal. The end of the week was approaching, and with it, the moment of truth, a test to see if his physical body had grown strong enough to handle a greater output of chakra. After a grueling week of rigorous training, Sasuke felt a noticeable change. His small body, driven to its limits each day, had responded well. He felt stronger, more robust, his muscles having adapted to the rigorous regime he'd imposed. Flushed with newfound strength, Sasuke felt a ripple of anticipation. It was time to test his progress. But ambition nudged at him, whispering temptations of pushing the envelope. Why stop at the Sharingan when he could attempt the Manjikyu Sharingan? He was brimming with confidence, his spirit indomitable. With determined eyes and a steady heart, he focused his chakra. He felt the now familiar sensation of the Sharingan stirring, but he pushed further, attempting to draw forth the higher form, the Manjikyu Sharingan. But reality had a cruel way of humbling overconfidence. the Manjikyu Sharingan failed to manifest. Instead, his chakra drained away at an alarming rate, sucked into the void created by his overreaching ambition. He had attempted to scale a mountain before learning to navigate a hill. A sudden wave of exhaustion washed over him. His vision swam, his knees buckled, and before he could process what was happening, he was on the ground. His body was drained, empty of chakra, a mere shell run dry from the failed attempt to invoke the Manjikyu Sharingan. Chakra exhaustion was a debilitating experience, one that Sasuke was familiar with from his past life. Yet, it was different experiencing it in a child's body. As he lay on the ground, the world spinning around him, Sasuke realized he'd overestimated his capabilities. He'd been too ambitious, too soon. Sasuke woke up, staring at the ceiling of his room. His body felt about as agile as a sack of potatoes, and he was pretty sure even a newborn fawn could have out-wrestled him at that point. But he'd recovered enough to stagger up and shuffle out to the kitchen, where his mother was making breakfast. "Sasuke," she exclaimed, abandoning her cooking and rushing over to him. "You've been out for a week. We were so worried." She clung to the idea that he'd been sick, completely oblivious to the fact that the only thing he'd caught was an intense case of chakra exhaustion. Just then, Itachi walked in, having returned from a mission. Being the seasoned ninja he was, even at 7, he could recognize chakra exhaustion faster than a cat pouncing on a lizard. "You pushed yourself too hard," he chided, although there was a twinkle of amusement in his eyes. It seemed his little brother was taking after him more than he'd realized. Sasuke shot him a sheepish grin, all too aware that he'd bitten off more than he could chew. "Yes, big brother," he said, managing to infuse his words with a cheeky defiance that said this was just the beginning. In the end, Sasuke found that mistakes were just stepping stones to improvement. So what if he'd stumbled? At least he'd done it with style. Now, it was time to get back up and keep going, with a dash of Uchiha flair, of course. As Sasuke's strength began to seep back into his limbs, he equated his recovery to a turtle trying to compete in a sprint. There was improvement, but it was slower than molasses in January. His mother, a beacon of worry and relief in equal measures, watched him closely. "You gave us a scare, sleeping for an entire week. You're not planning on becoming a professional sleeper, are you?" she teased, a sparkle of relief in her eyes. Enter Itachi, the older Uchiha who never missed a beat. His gaze was perceptive, probing, always discerning the truth beneath the surface. But he kept his cards close to his chest, not about to make assumptions about Sasuke's condition. Itachi looked at his little brother, a wry smile dancing on his lips. "Did you get into a staring contest with a statue, Sasuke?" he quipped, subtly acknowledging his suspicion of Sasuke's chakra exhaustion. Caught off guard, Sasuke choked on a laugh. He took a moment to compose himself before responding, "Yeah, and the statue cheated." It was a weak comeback, but the shared humor helped lighten the mood. Despite the light banter, both brothers knew that Sasuke's journey was far from over. The road was rough, laden with hurdles and setbacks. Yet, there was a certain beauty in resilience, and the ability to smile in the face of adversity. Sasuke was slowly realizing that he could be serious about his mission and still find moments of levity. As the household settled into a peaceful quiet, Sasuke lay in his bed, his mind abuzz with thoughts and plans. He'd stumbled, learned, and was ready to try again. The path was treacherous, but he was navigating it one laugh at a time. Chapter 3: The Ambu Child in Disguise. Like a specter in the night, Sasuke moved with purpose and agility, his small figure disguised in the covert black of the Ambu and obscured behind an animal mask, not allowing his face to be seen. He darted from tree to tree, a shadowy figure that was there one moment and gone the next. 4 months of dedicated training had honed his strength, and he had become a formidable presence despite his tender years. His actions were swift and decisive. 1 minute he was suspended in midair, the next his sword had plunged into an unsuspecting target, a spy from the Hidden Stone village. Target eliminated. Hidden Stone spy, he murmured to himself. In Sasuke's mind, the war hadn't ended until the peace treaty was signed, sealed, and delivered. So until then, he would permit no intelligence gathering on his home turf. As he traversed the shadowy landscape, a familiar voice echoed in his mind: Naruto. His conscience, his guiding light, a constant dialogue that helped steer his path. Did you have to kill him, Sasuke? Naruto's voice whispered, a voice of reason amidst the darkness. Yes, Naruto, he answered, it's either us or them. A grim reminder of their fateful last battle and the heavy burden they'd shouldered. Even in his solitude, Sasuke wasn't alone. Naruto's voice, his counsel, persisted within him, a constant beacon guiding him through his darkest hours. The echoes of their friendship, their rivalry, their shared dreams and fears reminded him of the high stakes at hand. Unfurling a scroll, Sasuke perused the list of names inked onto the parchment. Each one a potential target, a cog in the wheel that could lead to the disasters he so desperately wished to avoid. In the silence of the night, he found himself talking, addressing the phantom echo of Naruto in his head. Look at this list, Naruto, he began, tracing the names with a gloved finger. Danzo, Kabuto, they're on it. There was a pause, a hesitation. A single name danced on the edge of his consciousness. Itachi, he whispered into the quiet night. The name left a bitter taste in his mouth. In his mind, he heard Naruto's voice, as clear as the day they'd fought their final battle. Sasuke, Itachi, he's your brother. You've been through enough already. Don't add to your pain. Sasuke nodded, conceding to the voice. I can't, not Itachi. Not until I've exhausted all other options. He returned his gaze to the list, the names seeming to swirl before his eyes. For now, I'm going after the Hidden Stone spies, he resolved, thinking aloud. Maybe, if they can't gather intelligence, the Hyuga incident won't happen. The night absorbed his whispered words, carrying them away on the breeze. In the echoing silence, Naruto's voice sounded again. Just remember, Sasuke, every life matters. We're not just soldiers, we're human beings. A grim nod. A sigh. A renewed resolve. Sasuke knew the path he walked was shrouded in darkness, but he carried within him the light of a lost friend. A voice that questioned him, guided him, reminded him of who he once was and who he could be. In the comfort of his own room, Sasuke found himself mulling over the events of the night. Every name on his list seemed to pulse with significance, every step he'd taken resonated with the weight of his new reality. And what about the Hidden Leaf Village, Sasuke? Naruto's voice intruded upon his thoughts, a familiar tone of worry and concern threading through his words. We've always wanted to protect it, remember? I remember, Naruto, Sasuke replied quietly, staring at the list. His heart ached with the memory of their shared dreams, their shared purpose. That's why I'm doing this. For the village, for us. With each passing day, Sasuke was learning to balance the scales. Straddling the line between his past and present, he was being forced to reconcile the choices he'd made with the choices he was yet to make. And as he navigated through this complex labyrinth of decisions, Naruto's voice remained with him, a constant reminder of what they'd fought for, what they'd believed in. As the night deepened, Sasuke found himself turning inwards, focusing on the path ahead. The next day would bring new challenges, new decisions. But with Naruto's voice in his ear and a resolve that was as unyielding as a diamond, he was ready to face whatever came his way. As the first rays of the sun penetrated the quiet calm of the Uchiha household, Sasuke was already awake, his mind in overdrive. Every decision he had to make seemed like a monumental task, every potential misstep a catastrophe waiting to happen. "Sasuke, remember the will of fire," Naruto's voice echoed softly, like a gentle breeze soothing his turbulent thoughts. "It's not about making the perfect decision, but about choosing what's right and sticking by it." "Right for whom, Naruto?" Sasuke found himself replying, his voice barely above a whisper. "For me? For the village? Or for the peace that seems more like a dream with every passing day?" His questions hung in the silence of the early morning, unanswered yet heavy with the weight of unspoken thoughts. And then, from the depths of his memory, Naruto's voice emerged once again. "For everyone, Sasuke. The will of fire, it's about protecting everyone we care about, even if it means making the hardest decisions." As the dawn slowly crept in, a new resolve began to settle within Sasuke. His path wasn't going to be easy, nor would his choices always be clear-cut. But as long as he held onto the will of fire, the spirit that defined his village, he could face any challenge. His journey was just beginning, and he knew he would stumble, falter, and even fall. But with each step, he was ready to rise, ready to fight, ready to protect. After all, he was Sasuke Uchiha, a boy with the memories of a man, a soldier, a guardian, and at heart, a true shinobi of the leaf. Chapter 4: Shadows of the Leaf. 2 weeks had passed in a flurry of clandestine meetings and hushed whispers. The peace treaty between the Leaf and Stone Village was on the brink of fruition, the atmosphere tense with anticipation and wariness. Meanwhile, Sasuke continued to weave his silent path through the night, a phantom in the shadows. His mission was as clear as it was relentless: eliminate all hidden stone spies before they could sabotage the impending peace. As he flitted between the trees, a familiar voice accompanied him, resonating in the stillness. Naruto, the voice of reason amidst the whirlwind of his thoughts. "Are you sure about this, Sasuke?" Naruto's voice asked, concern etched into every syllable. "Remember what we've always believed in, the sanctity of life." Sasuke paused, his masked face turned upwards, eyes reflecting the myriad of stars above. "I remember, Naruto," he replied, his voice barely more than a whisper. "But I also remember what we fought for. The Leaf, our home." His reply hung in the air, an echo of his resolve. Yes, he was taking lives, but he was also safeguarding many more. The weight of his actions was heavy, but the price of inaction was far more devastating. "And that's why I'm doing this, Naruto," he continued, his voice firm despite the uncertainty welling within him. "To protect our home, to safeguard our peace." His conversation with Naruto, though only in his mind, grounded him, reminding him of the path he had chosen. It was a difficult path, steeped in darkness and fraught with tough decisions, but he was prepared to walk it for the sake of the Leaf Village. Perched high on top of a tree, Sasuke cast his watchful gaze over the Hyuga estate. The peace treaty with the hidden stone village was on the horizon, and he couldn't afford any mishaps, especially not an attempt to kidnap Hinata. All the while, Naruto's voice echoed in his mind, a constant companion in the stillness of the night. "Do you think Mom would believe that you're out camping, Sasuke?" Naruto's voice queried, a hint of his characteristic grin seeping into his words. Sasuke found himself smiling despite the gravity of his mission. "Perhaps she would, Naruto," he answered, his eyes still locked onto the quiet estate. "But it's Itachi I'm concerned about." Naruto's laugh echoed in his mind, a vivid reminder of their shared past. "Heh, yeah. Itachi would pretend to believe you, but he would keep an eye on you from a distance. That's just how he is. The thought of Itachi's vigilant gaze following his every move sent a shiver down Sasuke's spine. Despite the comfort of Naruto's voice, the weight of his mission hung heavily on his shoulders. He was but a child in body, yet burdened with the responsibilities of a seasoned warrior. Yet, despite the odds, Sasuke was resolute. He was ready to protect his village, his friends, and his family at any cost. As the night deepened, his determination burned brighter, fueled by the echoes of Naruto's voice, the conviction of their shared dreams, and the fierce resolve to protect those he cared about. Night had thoroughly draped itself over the village, the moon casting long shadows that danced and flickered with the rustling leaves. Sasuke, a lone sentinel on the rooftop, maintained his watch over the Hyuga estate, his keen eyes missing nothing. So, Sasuke, Naruto's voice punctured the quiet of the night. What's the plan if they do try to kidnap Hinata? The question hung heavy in the air. Sasuke's grip tightened on his kunai, his gaze never wavering from the estate below. I intervene, Naruto, he responded, his tone icy. I can't let that happen. Naruto's silence stretched for a moment before he replied, a heavy sigh lacing his words. I wish there was another way, Sasuke. A way where no one gets hurt. Sasuke's heart clenched at the sadness in Naruto's voice. I know, Naruto, he conceded, his words drifting off into the night. But we can't always get what we wish for. Sometimes, we have to make tough choices. The night wore on, the tension mounting with each passing hour. The tranquility of the Hyuga estate was deceptive, the looming danger invisible to the untrained eye. But Sasuke was ready. He had trained for this, prepared for this. He would not let any harm befall those he had sworn to protect. And so, under the silent watch of the moon, Sasuke continued his vigil, ready to strike at the first sign of danger. Sasuke's eyes flickered with determination, a sharp contrast to the serenity of the moonlit night. Each rustle of the leaves, each whisper of the wind was a potential threat, a danger lurking in the shadows. But he was ready. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught his attention, a figure sneaking towards the Hyuga estate. His grip tightened on his kunai, his body tensing for the imminent confrontation. Here we go, Naruto, he muttered under his breath, the familiar voice in his head responding with a reassuring echo. I know you've got this, Sasuke. Remember, we're doing this to protect, not to harm. With Naruto's words ringing in his ears, Sasuke launched into action, darting through the darkness towards the intruder. His heart pounded in his chest, adrenaline fueling his movements as he moved to intercept the intruder. As he neared, his Sharingan activated, the world slowing down as he analyzed the situation. The intruder, startled, barely had time to react as Sasuke swooped in, kunai ready. Their clash was swift and silent, two shadows dancing in the moonlight. Sasuke moved with precision, every strike meant to disarm, not to kill. His opponent, however, wasn't so lenient. But he was ready. He had to be. This was his mission, his responsibility. And with Naruto's voice in his head and the will of fire in his heart, Sasuke knew he could handle anything that came his way. Chapter 5, A New Dawn. With the arrival of the dawn, a new day unfolded in the Leaf Village. Its inhabitants rose with the sun, completely unaware of the clandestine activities that had taken place while they slept. A would-be kidnapping attempt, a silent protector in the night, and a lurking threat swiftly neutralized, all the while the village slumbered, blissfully ignorant of the perils averted. In the shadows, Sasuke observed the serene normality, his thoughts far from peaceful. Dressed in the nondescript attire of a civilian, he was the unsung guardian who'd kept the tranquility intact. Naruto's voice resonated in his mind, a comforting presence amid the turmoil of his thoughts. "You did good, Sasuke," Naruto said, his words imbued with a sense of shared responsibility. "The village is safe, thanks to you." Sasuke nodded to himself, his gaze locked on the distant silhouette of the Hyuga estate. "It was necessary," he responded, his tone firm. "The peace treaty is still in progress, we can't afford any disruptions." Indeed, the attempted intruder from the Hidden Stone village hadn't even managed to breach the Hyuga estate. Sasuke had made sure of it, neutralizing the threat before it could blossom into a crisis. His mission remained incomplete, the danger ever present, but for now, the village was safe. As the Leaf Village woke to another ordinary day, the undercurrent of the night's silent struggle went unnoticed. People bustled through the streets, children ran in the park, merchants called out their wares, all untouched by the fear that could have been. Meanwhile, Sasuke watched over them, his protective gaze drifting over the village. "It feels strange, doesn't it?" Naruto's voice murmured in his mind. "Being a hidden guardian, maintaining the peace while everyone lives their life, oblivious to the danger." Sasuke's only response was a solemn nod. "It's a burden we chose to carry, Naruto. They can live freely because we're here, watching and protecting." The Hidden Stone spy's unsuccessful attempt at infiltrating the Hyuga estate remained a secret, his plans foiled by Sasuke. There was no alarm, no distress rippling through the village, the incident buried under the peaceful monotony of another day. With Naruto's voice as his steadfast companion, Sasuke retreated from his vantage point, his mission for the day accomplished. But the danger wasn't entirely eradicated. The peace treaty was yet to be signed, and Sasuke knew there would be more threats to come. However, every peaceful day was a victory, and every obstacle overcome was a step towards the peace they envisioned. Each day was a chance to grow stronger, to safeguard their village more effectively. And Sasuke was ready for it all. As day transitioned into evening, Sasuke sought solace in the quiet expanse of his training grounds. Among the rustling trees and the soft, whispered secrets of nature, he could focus, strategize, and come to terms with the monumental task ahead. "What's our next move, Sasuke?" Naruto's voice asked, its familiar cadence a comforting presence in the maelstrom of his thoughts. "I need to train, Naruto," Sasuke responded, his gaze fixed on the horizon, painted orange and red by the setting sun. "I'm not strong enough for Danzo yet." The acknowledgement was a bitter pill to swallow, but necessary. Sasuke knew well the formidable defenses Danzo commanded and his uncanny ability to sniff out threats. A head-on assault was not an option, and Sasuke knew he needed to be stronger, more prepared. His resolve firmed as the twilight shadows stretched out, swallowing the training grounds in semi-darkness. The impending challenge was colossal, the threat of the peace treaty's signing looming ominously. But Sasuke was ready. He had Naruto's voice guiding him, a shared dream pushing him forward, and a will of fire that refused to be quenched. The sun may have set on another day, but for Sasuke, it was a new dawn, and he was prepared to face whatever it brought.